Chief Mike Marlo, on November 4th, 2013, Chief Marlo assumed the position of the fire chief with the Wentzville Fire Protection District. 37 years prior to that, he had worked in West Overland as an EMS in Fire District in St. Louis County. But even during that time living in Wentzville, not only with his full-time job, he was also involved as a volunteer in the Wentzville Fire District, even as a volunteer unpaid. He's had a distinguished career, recipient of awards such as the Silver Medal of Valor for the dramatic rescue of a young child trapped in a residential fire back in 2004. His commitment, dedication, and knowledge of the emergency services have been recognized by Governor Nixon, and he continues to serve on the State of Missouri Fire Education and Advisory Board that the Governor has established. He's a member of the St. Louis County Local Emergency Planning Committee, St. Louis Fire Academy Board of Directors, and the St. Louis County Special Operations Team. Because of his experience in incident management as a strike team leader during Hurricane Katrina, he led a group of 20 individuals to respond to the hurricane that ravaged the Gulf Coast not too long ago. He's a member of the International Association of Fire Chiefs Federal Go Team for Region 7, that's our area. And he has a story to share as well this morning in conjunction with what Mr. Smith has shared. And so while Chief Mike Marlo is here this morning, I thought we'd go ahead and have you come up if you're ready to share your story. Let's welcome Fire Chief Mike Marlo.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. Mr. Smith, I think you're a wonderful speaker, and I wish I could speak as well as you have this morning to all of us. And I thank you very much for your strength, and you did a heck of a job.
Amen.
Let me just start off with saying that, I'm truly blessed. The beginning speaker, we talked about an alarm clock. For 38 plus years now, I did not need an alarm clock. I had an internal alarm clock. And it was my job, my devotion to public service. Truly blessed when you can wake up every morning and can't wait to get to work to help others. And that's what my life has been. Truly blessed with my family for 38 plus years, my lovely wife Kathy, and my son David, who is also currently a fire captain on the Wentzville Fire Protection District. I'm going to lead into a little bit of the story with a story before the story. As I stated, I've been doing this business for 38 years. And there are most of the times that these types of incidents don't happen the way this one turned out. As you well know, being a first responder, we see a lot of tragedy. We see a lot of death. Children, parents, adults, our neighbors, our family, our friends. We've all seen it and witnessed it. Very, very rare do these types of incidents turn out the way this one did for John Smith. But before I tell you about John Smith's story and what I witnessed and I truly believe, I'm going to tell you about a little story on why I do believe what I believe. It was mentioned about a rescue that I performed back in the city of Overland years ago. I was a fire captain assigned to an engine company, which is a fire truck. We got that dreaded call at 2 o'clock in the morning for a house fire. The homes in Overland were built after World War II. They basically built the homes for a very small family, for the soldiers to retain. Well, as families grew over the years, they added bedrooms in locations that aren't normal. This particular home had a bedroom on the second floor. And on that second floor, our dispatcher told us that we had a child trapped, a 7-year-old child. So we knew going in that it was going to be a tough battle. We get there, and things unfolded that I'm going to be very truthful with you about. And again, these don't happen very often the way this one turned out. So I was assigned to the rescue. Firefighters were fighting the fire on the first floor. Conditions looked horrible on the second floor, which is actually the attic. We made our way through a makeshift stairwell that was made to get upstairs, and I was determined to find this child. There's 2 bedrooms up there. I took one bedroom, another firefighter that was with me took the other bedroom. We have an instrument called an imaging camera, and basically it's a tool that we use to scan a room. If it picks up warmth, like a body warmth, it shows on this camera. As you can imagine, the conditions were horrible. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face with all the dark smoke. Flames were downstairs still, the heat was intense. So I went in with the camera and couldn't locate the child. Training tells you to go ahead on in and do a right-handed search. Stay your hand on the wall, you search the room. I searched the room the best I could, came out to the hallway, no child. And this is the part I want to explain to you. At that moment, there was a voice, and I can't explain where it came from. I truly cannot. But it told me to stop, go to the center of that room, and find that child. And I did. And there was the child. We took him out, the paramedics were at the doorway, full cardiac arrest, rushed him to the Paul Hospital. They got a pulse back, which was a miracle. And then they airlifted him to Cardinal Glennon. And then the miracle continued. And that child walked out of that hospital 2 weeks later, perfectly normal. Again, this does not happen that often. Most firefighters never witness this type of miracles. And I didn't share that with too many people. I shared it with my immediate family, but I truly believed it was a miracle. What drove me back to the center of that room, I cannot describe, other than it was the voice that took me there. Now, why do I say that? Because this is the story I'm going to tell you about what occurred on what we call now the Miracle on Ice. So, I'll give you the setup. It was a gorgeous morning, sun was shining, we were participating in a very special event, Dr. Martin Luther King Day at Wentzville. We were going to be in the parade for the celebration. I was going to be in the parade. One of our engine companies that was on the call for the lake rescue was in the parade. Just prior to the parade starting, our tones went off. And we were called to Lake St. Louis, which is actually a smaller lake in Lake St. Louis. It's a large lake, but it's not quite as large as the bigger lake. And the call came in for 3 children trapped on the ice. So I, of course, went responding, and a little bit of a setup on how that works. Lake St. Louis has its own fire department. It's Lake St. Louis Fire Protection District. I'm with Wentzville. They called us to assist them because of the nature of the call. On my arrival, Lake St. Louis firefighters were already out on the lake in the area that the 3 children were located at. One child had self-rescued, basically managed to get off the ice. Another child was clinging to the ice, still above water, and Lake St. Louis firefighters were removing that child. John was already submerged, already underwater, and we're talking 13 foot of water, about 200 yards from shore. Our engine company was en route. Lake St. Louis was already there. I took command of the incident as the chief. And the order came from me to ask my engine company to grab 2 pike poles. Pike poles are long poles we use for various techniques. Upon arrival of our engine company, firefighter Shine came off that truck already in his ice suit with the 2 pike poles that I had requested. And his drive was from that truck to that water. And he had one goal in his mind, just like the other firefighters out there had, was to rescue John Smith. But remember, he's already underwater, 13 foot of water, and had been underwater for several minutes. So we knew going into this was going to be tough, if not impossible. We do what we call a rescue that soon turns into a recovery. And this is where I'm talking about drive and direction. Firefighter Shine got in that water and was driven with drive and direction to locate John Smith. And it took several minutes. I believe it was 13 plus minutes that John was totally underwater before that rescue occurred. And let me describe the rescue. So the bottom of this lake is rocky at that point. The buoyancy of our ice rescue suits keeps us afloat, keeps us safe from the cold water. So the only tool we had at that moment was poking the ice and either feeling rock or feeling something that's not rock. Firefighter Shine was feeling rock and suddenly felt something that didn't feel like rock. You can imagine poking the bottom of this water in a very, very large area. Wasn't sure what it was, but the direction was to try it. He turned the pike pole to the side, hooked, and pulled. And as he was pulling up, there was weight, but we didn't know what it was. He didn't know what it was. As he pulled more and more, you could tell there was a white t-shirt. Now we knew we had John. The other firefighters came over that were also in the ice, assisted with Tommy to pull John up above the water and the ice shelf. And we have a little sled-like device that we put John's lifeless body on. It was attached to a rope from the shore, and he was quickly pulled to the shore. Immediately upon the shore, the paramedics with St. Charles County Ambulance were there and started their great work. But here's the part of the story that I think is truly the miracle as it unfolded and started. 2 days later, after this incident, Firefighter Shine came into the kitchen of our station, and I was in the kitchen drinking a cup of coffee. And Tommy leaned up against the doorway and he said, "Chief, I have to tell you something." He said, I've done this before with ice rescue. We get vehicle rescues, we get fires, but there was something different with this. And I stopped and I said, "Tommy," I said, "you don't have to explain it. Don't try to. It's too difficult. Accept the fact that you were driven by the miracle that saved John." And that's as far as it went with this particular conversation. And it relates back to my experience that happened once in my lifetime as a firefighter. 38 years of doing this. Doesn't happen that often. It happened that day on that ice. I will tell you that once on the dock, and I seen John's lifeless body being pulled up to the dock and CPR being done by those great medics and the firefighters that were still there and working on John. And as they put John onto the stretcher, I did sense that there was something here of peace. I can't describe it, but I sense it. John was placed in the ambulance and transported to St. Joe's, which is just blocks from the ice scene. And that is where this miracle, true miracle, continued. As Mr. Smith stated, the CPR being done there lasted another 35 minutes plus, whatever it was. Mrs. Smith coming into the room and praying and not wanting to believe that this is it. She was determined that this was not it. Several days later, we visited the family at Cardinal Clinic, and John was still in pretty bad shape. When I walked into the PICU unit there with Tommy Shine and the two other firefighters that were on our engine company, and I seen the support, I seen the prayer, I seen all of the family, friends of this church there praying and believing, again reinforces what this story has turned out to be. I truly encourage all of you to follow the story. If you have an opportunity, talk to Pastor Jason. He has a great video of a ceremony that occurred here at the church with all of the rescuers. And I truly believe that this was a miracle that occurred. And I always will believe that. I'll also say this about this particular rescue and why I believe it turned out as it did. You know, we talk about strength and believing. I believe. I'm a Christian person. But I also understand the pressures and the stressors of public and how they say, oh, you better stick to science, chief. You better stick to whatever, because we don't want to get too deep into this stuff. Well, you know what? These miracles do occur. I can't explain why. I can't tell you why tomorrow when we go up to a car scene and there'll be somebody in that car that's dead and they're not brought back. I don't have answers for all that. But I do believe that there are reasons why certain incidents turn into miracles. And maybe it's just to keep us believing the way we should. But when those doctors, when the ED doctor from St. Joe's spoke at this church several weeks back about this particular case, and how he made the statement that he could not understand it either other than divine intervention, and when the Bigview doctor at Cardinal Glen, a well-known doctor across the United States in his work, and he too could not explain totally why John walked out of that hospital 100% normal, other than it was a true miracle. So again, they happen, I believe, and I just appreciate everybody's time here this morning and allow me to tell my side of the story. And again, Mr. Smith, I mean, you did a fine job. I truly am blessed to have gotten to know you and your family, and I just am thankful to be here today and to tell you this.
Thank you.